What's going on, everybody? It's just another day in the kitchen, back with another episode, and today we're taking a look at the king of merch, aka Travis Scott, and his Cacti merch drop. Now, this video takes us all the way back to March of 2021, and if you didn't know, LaFlame entered the hard seltzer water market. If you're not familiar with what the Cacti drink actually was, it was basically a flavored water with an alcohol content to it, and it wasn't so bad. Now let's check out this promo clip of Travis visiting the Cacti factory.
We out in Cacti headquarters. You know, this is one of my locations. You gotta take it from the top. Oh yeah. Strawberry. Lime. Take it, man. Best of the best right there, man.
And one thing I wanted to point out, in case you didn't catch it from that promo clip, is Travis Scott here is wearing these limited edition Cacti branded Air Force Ones, similar to the low effort Air Force Ones we saw for Utopia. Now, when it comes to the actual Cacti brand itself, of course, following the Astroworld Festival tragedy, and rest in peace to those victims, the brand itself was pulled off the shelves and they actually ceased production, as you guys can see. However, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is when you go to the website now, drinkcacti.com, they've got a new list up like this, and I think that there's going to be some new releases here soon. And I also wanted to include this picture I found online of some brand new unreleased flavors like Berry Splash we haven't seen before, so again, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up reviving this due to the success of Utopia. Now, with all great Travis Scott collaborations, there's always some kind of dope merch collection, so this is what the actual website looked like when it dropped back in March of 2021. And I also wanted to mention how you had to enter your birthday and prove you were over the age of 21 because of the alcohol related theme that are featured throughout this actual Cacti collaboration. Now, first off, I wanted to point out the actual logo itself and get your guys' opinion. Personally, I think it's pretty dope branding, and as we saw earlier in the video, Travis actually wears this merch, and I think he was definitely involved in the design. Now, when it comes to the actual merch itself, the tees start off pretty consistent with prices anywhere floating around from $48 to $55. And I again wanted to point out how much of a marketing genius my dude Travis Scott is, because this dude really convinced people to buy shirts with the ingredients for the drinks on the back of them, which I don't think many people can pull off. Now, personally, this tee right here I think is pretty dope and clean, and I like the overall aesthetic of it, and it kind of reminds me of like a cactus plant flea market collab if you're familiar. Now, here we've got a brand new novelty item we haven't seen in any of his previous drops for $350, and as you can see, the actual neon sign itself has a diameter of 2 feet, and the shipping time on it was 9 to 12 weeks. Now, this I definitely understand because it's probably a piece that has to be made, but the fact that actual other merch pieces like shirts and hoodies can also end up taking anywhere from 9 to 12 weeks or even longer is pretty unacceptable. Now, this shirt right here is actually pretty cool and funny, so I wanted to go ahead and show you guys, and it features Eric Andre from the Eric Andre Show. If you're not familiar, he's like a really off-the-wall, outlandish comedian, so the fact that they had a collaboration with Travis for this, I think they must be fans of each other, and I think it's pretty dope to feature him. Now, this is another kind of novelty piece, but basically these are ice cubes that you can create in the shape of the Cacti logo, which is something we haven't seen from Travis in terms of merch, and I think it's actually pretty cool. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to access every single piece of merch, so I wasn't too sure why the price jumped from $48 to $58 on some pieces, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had to do with an increase in quality. Next up, we've got these coasters that are in the shape of the Cacti logo, which I think is really cool, but again, a little bit steep when it comes to it. This piece right here I think is actually really sick, which features a comet in the shape of the Cacti logo crashing into Earth. And a little bit later, we're going to take a look at a piece that actually mentions Utopia 2 years before the release. And while we're here taking a look at this Cacti merch together, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. This tee, for example, I think is interesting, but I wouldn't actually wear it in public just because it's just advertising some beer, or seltzers rather, but I do think some of these designs like this one on the sleeve right here is a little bit cleaner. Now, if you didn't know, the central theme when it comes to cacti is the fact that it's made from actual agave, and that's right, the same agave plant that they make tequila from. Now I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the actual branding on this one just a little bit more, but it's basically a worker or a person kind of cutting up an agave plant, which I think is pretty interesting. Now this is the piece I mentioned earlier that mentions Utopia on the back here, and it basically says that cacti was formed when a comet left the Utopia system and crashed into Earth. So I think that's a kind of cool little Easter egg 2 whole years ago before the release of Utopia, obviously this year in 2023. And speaking of the album, let me know what your favorite song is in the comments because mine still changes and I still have a hard time listening to anything else since its release. Now this is one of my more favorite pieces just because it features that dope cacti branding right here on the back along with that feature on the front, which is the logo of course. Now this next piece right here is kind of hard to tell what's going on, but it's supposed to be a cacti oasis, and we're going to see this branding featured here in just a second on these shorts here, which I personally think are super sick. Now, although the price of these is a little bit steep, I believe with about $70, but looking back, I think this is a must cop for me because I personally love it if I had to pick one piece out of this whole collection so far. Now, next up, we've got some expensive work pants for $120, and I guess it kind of goes with that theme like I mentioned earlier with the cacti branding and the worker cutting up the agave plant. And I think it's kind of interesting to note because if you guys checked out my Travis Scott Jack Boys video, he also had some similar themed merch when it came to the actual mechanic vibe, especially how it featured that BMW. Now I wanted to include a different update when it comes to shipping, so as you guys can see on here, this one is 9 to 12 weeks. Now to follow up this work jacket, I wanted to go ahead and highlight these soccer shorts right here that feature some 3M material, which I think is really sick. And if you're not familiar with what that is, anywhere you see gray or silver on these shorts right here, essentially it would light up and sparkle up if you were to hit it with a light or if you were to take a picture with the flash on. So just picture that. Now to follow that up, we've got some hats here for $50 starting off retail, which is a little bit steep, but basically on brand with Travis Scott hats. He does have a dope little beanie right here, which just features the Cactus Jack branding. Here we've got a nice little fitted cap, which I think is a little bit cleaner out of the hat. To round it off, we've got my favorite hat, this actual canvas cacti hat, which I think is a nice neutral color that you can wear with anything. And I like how that cacti logo is stitched here on the front. Let me know in the comments which hat would have been your favorite and if you would have picked any of these up. Now, as we've seen with most and damn near every single Travis Scott merch drop, he's got to have some kind of socks to them. So these are cool because they feature branding that has to do with the actual brand itself. And for a first we haven't seen in quite some time, we've got some slides that are available so you can rock basically a whole cacti outfit and be a walking billboard for the brand. Let's say you put yourself together a dope little cacti outfit, so you got to pick up the cacti towel here to wipe off all the swag that's dripping from you. Now next up, we've got some useful drinking related pieces that definitely fit the whole theme of the whole drink and merch drop. And if you're not familiar with what a koozie is, just picture those sleeves that go on drinks and beers to keep them extra cool. We've got this dope ping pong set that you could use for beer pong, and man, do I miss playing that. Shout out to the college days. Now let's say you just crushed your opponent in beer pong, you gotta wipe yourself off with the cactus cans towel, of course. Although the price is a little bit steep for it just because it's just advertising these damn cans of this new alcohol. Now for a useful item, we've got this dope little cacti branded keychain bottle opener, which you could always use. As they say, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, or in this case, it's cacti o'clock, so you could pick yourself up a little dope clock. And we've got a sick little soccer ball here, which is a first for Travis Scott merch. I think it kind of just goes with that whole happy vibe when it comes to drinking and being with your buds. And to round off this merch drop, as we've seen with all great Travis Scott drops, even Utopia, thank you guys for correcting me on the last video, we've got a cacti merch rug, so shout out to Travis. Now overall, I would say it's probably one of my least favorite merch drops when it comes to Travis, but I like what he was doing and I actually tried the cacti drink myself. If you got your hands on it, let me know, because at first it was definitely hard to pick up in person, and I'll go ahead and show you guys a photo that I took when I finally got them. Personally, my favorite flavor was pineapple, but honestly I think I prefer brands like White Claw instead. Now, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for checking it out. As always, let me know what kind of video you'd like to see next, and as always guys, stay safe out here please. Thank you for cooking with the kitchen. It's lit. Straight up. Peace.